Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And today we are bringing you guys some more draft coverage as we're going to be talking about the top offensive prospects in the 2023 draft class. I'm, of course, your host, David. On point humping right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. The Israel Rivera should be joining us here shortly. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Also, I showed the link to our streaming platform, so if you do happen to miss us live, you can check us out over there. We have all of the streaming platforms over there. TJ, happy Wednesday, man. Happy hump day. My voice is feeling a little bit better if you couldn't tell.
I can hear it.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better than I did yesterday, which is a blessing because I felt pretty terrible yesterday. I did go. I went to the gym finally, back to the gym again today. Played pretty well, but pretty solid basketball today. I don't lie, not gonna lie.
That's
So
good.
yeah, I'm
Good to
happy
hear.
about it. Let's talk about the offensive draft prospects. What do you think is the strength of the offensive side of the football when it comes to this particular draft class?
Um, it would have to be playmakers. Like this is a, and it's not just one class. One specific skill group. It's a decent amount of receivers, running backs, tight
Tight
ends
ends.
in this draft class.
I mean, this is a scenario that three tight ends could go in the first round. Welcome to the show, Izzy Rivera, CEO of Prime Sports World. I just asked each TJ, what do you think is the strength offensively of this draft class?
He's driving,
I
so you
don't
got to
think
give
I
him
don't
a
think I don't
minute.
think he's quite there yet. Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about the most important position in the NFL. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. There's the top 10 prospects on your screen right there. Just what any of these names kind of jump out at you, and any of you guys that think they're overrated or underrated, in your opinion? Izzy's TJ, go ahead.
I don't think Jake Hayner's. I don't think he's high enough. I think he should be higher. He just don't
By
get.
the I did get this rating, so I went off Pro Football Focus, but I kind of tweaked it a little bit based on where I saw my own kind of personal opinion on where I saw some of these players. But the majority of that top 10 quarterback prospects and every prospect we're going to talk about comes from PFF, Pro Football Focus. So got to
Yeah,
give credit where
Jake
credit
Hainer
is
should
due.
definitely be a little. Jake Hainer only
he should
slipped in those
definitely be
rankings.
higher.
He should definitely be higher. He had injuries last year. Didn't play till like probably not even like the last quarter of the season. He was dealing with a lower extremity injury. But before that, I mean, this is a guy that I literally single handedly saw him. He's tough as nails. I seen him get rocked in a drive. It was kind of Byron Leftwich esque against UCLA in his junior season, and he literally took Fresno State down and scored a touchdown with like seconds left on the clock, and he was literally like battered and bruised. So this guy he's as tough as nails as they come, but the lower extremity injury, kind of played a factor in his ranking probably being this low.
Yeah, that does make sense. Like we can argue that the only reason like a guy like Anthony Richardson, outside of the physical specimen that he is, only reason he's this high is because one, he showed out at the combine,
100%.
and he went to Florida. Same thing with Will Levis. He went to Kentucky. All right, that's SEC territory. I think if had he not tore his ACL, I definitely think we'd be talking about Hendon Hooker as the third overall quarterback in this draft class.
Hmm. No, I totally agree. I mean, I think even Will Levis, I mean, he had some pretty solid weapons around him at Kentucky, and he still kind of made mistakes. Just because he has a rocket for an arm and he can fit it in between all types of windows. But Anthony Richardson, when you put a highlight tape together, Anthony Richardson of his 25 best plays, his 25 best plays blow any of these quarterbacks' 25 best plays out the water, and it's crazy that I'm saying that, and I hate to say that, but it's true.
I think that one of the things about Will Levis that kind of makes me worried about him as a draft prospect, he didn't like get better, right? Like he didn't get any better. Like he was kind of the
Well,
same guy, he made the same mistakes. I obviously I understand that the offensive line and the weapons there at Kentucky weren't exactly primo, but he just he didn't improve. Like when we talk about Hendon Hooker, like that guy improved from year to year. I think they're the same age. I think they're both going to be 24 by the time the NFL season starts next year. But Hendon Hooker took a noticeable step forward. I think he went to Tennessee as a grad transfer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he transferred from Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so he transferred as a grad transfer, and he took a noticeable leap forward from that. He had that like Joe Burrow-esque leap without obviously the accolades.
His leap as a passer is like night and day. Like when we talk about Hendon Hooker at Virginia Tech, we talked about him being more of a runner. than a passer.
Bro,
But when he got
we
to
talked
Tennessee, he
about
became a legit pocket passer and one of the best deep ball throwers in the nation.
when we talked about Hendon Hooker at Virginia Tech, we didn't talk about him.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. That's true
Like,
too.
like think about it. Like when he was there, nobody talked about him, right? And don't get me wrong, like obviously the talent around you definitely plays a role in your development as well. David brought up Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was a what? A day 3 guy
Yep.
the year before, and then all of a sudden he gets surrounded by playmakers: Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Thad Moss, name them, right? And they allow him to take that leap. He goes from a day 3 guy, possibly a 6th or 7th round pick, to first overall.
So let's just group the top 4 guys together before we move on over to the next position. Of those 4 guys, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, if you were a GM, which of those 4 guys would make you the most uncomfortable about drafting?
Richardson, because it's too big.
Anthony
It's too
Richardson.
much. It's too like the big or like the boom or bust is just too. It's too big. Like obviously, if you take him and he hits, it's hey, you're a genius. You found the diamond in the rough. Da 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 da. But if you take him and he never matures into what you think he could be, 4 years down the line, or maybe a year down the line, who knows? You're back in the quarterback market, and now it's yeah, like a
Yeah,
lot.
I think it's actually Will Levis for me. I think his ceiling is extremely high, but I think his floor is also like a Blaine Gabbert type, like these big arm quarterbacks who go in this early in the draft and don't necessarily pan out. I just think he has potential to be that type of guy. You know, the
I
Blake
never
Bortles
trusted a Missouri
type.
quarterback, anyways.
Yeah. On the flip side of the other 6 guys that are on this list, who do you think has the highest potential to be a franchise quarterback and a
Jake
diamond in the
Hayden.
rough?
Jake Hayden. I've already said it. Stetson Bennett's already 25 years old. We already know
He's a
what he
little
is.
small though. He's a little small. He's a little slight of size. If I'm gonna say if there's anybody on here that can be a franchise guy, it's got to be like out of the top 4, like either Hendon Hooker if his knee, if he comes back into form, which I think he can, or Tanner McKee from Stanford. DTR, he made strides as a passer, but I don't really see him translating well into the pro system. I think he'll be a decent backup in the right system. Like let's say the Ravens, right? Like they always draft these guys that are dual threat guys. DTR thrive in that type of system, but if you rely on him to like throw the ball, into these tight windows at the pro level, I don't think he could do that. The only thing about Jake Hayner is his size. That's it. But his heart is like it just takes over whatever size he has. He has all the intangibles, and he's got it as a quarterback. He just size, sleight of frame.
Moving over from the quarterbacks, let's talk about them pass catchers, wide receivers. There's the top 10 wide receivers on the screen. Who do you think on this list represents the highest upside based on where they will be drafted?
No, obviously, with like everything else, it depends on where you go. If you're a route runner, if you're a pass catcher, if you're a JSN or a Zay Flowers or a Jalen Hyatt like that, you don't want to go to a team, and not mean this in the most respectful way possible. You don't want to go to a team like the Baltimore Ravens because of the offense. Their offense doesn't fit your play style. Quentin Johnson would be a perfect receiver for the Ravens because he's 6'5" and he can block. And we really only need you to run 2, 3, 4 routes at most and be a red zone target. Right? That makes sense. But I think to answer your question, I think it would have to be Jordan Addison out of USC. I think he has the most upside.
I think Josh Downs has an immense upside playing there for North Carolina. I think big body wide receiver, can really go shifty.
Now I'm going I like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, he done added like 10, 12 pounds of muscle. Like he did the whole before.
Are we talking? So highest up, are we equating highest upside, safest pick, highest potential? Because if I'm looking at all these guys, most potential to me is Jackson Smith and Jugler. I know he's at the top of the list. He'll probably be probably be the first wide receiver taken. That's debatable, I guess, with Quentin Johnson. One thing I like about Jackson Smith and Jugler, I mean, he's probably one of the best route runners, probably the best route runner next to Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers probably second. And he high points the ball. He's got great ball skills. And Quentin Johnson's got those T-Rex arms. I don't like that. I don't like that he doesn't high point the ball. He like catches the ball. He catches the ball with his body.
Who you talking
Quentin
about?
Johnson.
Quinn Johnson.
He doesn't high point the ball. He doesn't catch the ball with his hands. If you look at a lot of his catches, he catches them with his body. I don't like that because guys at the next level, all they're gonna do is just jack you up, or they're gonna stick that arm in there. He's gonna have a lot of drop passes. So he's gotta fix that. At the college level, you can get away with that. The one thing about Quentin Johnson, he's that guy you can catch. He's like Calvin Johnson, right? You catch that ball on the bubble screen, he can take it 80 yards for a tutty. We saw that against Michigan in the CFP, right? I gotta go to Jackson Smith and Jugler, but I like that. I like where David's going with Josh Downs. He's a big wide receiver, big body, play with a pro style quarterback. Probably gonna be the second best quarterback in the NFL draft. If those two guys, him and Caleb Williams, came out, North Carolina quarterback, and Caleb Williams came out, they'd probably be 1 and 2 out of this draft, probably. Like that's how good that kid was. But Josh Downs, I think, has a lot of potential too. Yeah, he's a big body. I mean, he's a prototypical wide receiver, what you want in the NFL.
Of all the wide receivers on this list, who do you think has the highest bust potential?
Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson.
I'm gonna go Jordan Addison. Really lackluster combine, even though he did have immense numbers in college. But I'll go Jordan Addison.
And he was a former Biletnikoff winner at Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett. So
yeah. Under the radar wide receiver, any of these guys kind of flying under the radar you think could eventually be a steal where they're going to be taken? This is probably more about the guys that are on the bottom 5.
It's definitely Tank Dale. His name is Nathaniel Tank Dale out of Houston. Definitely him.
I like Tank Dale. I love Tank Dale. Him and Clayton Tune were electric. They were electric at Houston. I love the kid out of Washington though. Roma Dunze. I mean, he's a guy that can fly under the radar. He'll get picked in the second, third round.
Tank Dale.
Yeah, I like that. But Jalen Hyatt. Let's talk about Jalen Hyatt though, fellas. Jalen Hyatt led the NCAA in catches over like 20-something yards. He's like the best deep threat in the draft, in my opinion. So Jalen Hyatt,
highest 15 touchdowns this past season, 67 catches for 1,200 yards.
Jalen
Hyatt, I think, has to be
We already know the game that put him on the map. We already know the game that opened his eyes to everybody else, and that was like when he went off on Alabama. I was with Christian that day, and when we watched that game, I'm like, hey, I want that dude in the Bears uniform by any means necessary.
Yep. I mean, he's a guy that can catch. He can stretch your defense out. I mean, stretch him out.
Which of these wide receivers would you be willing to reach for?
Him, Jalen
Hyatt. Yeah.
No.
Any final thoughts on the wide receiver class before we move on to the offensive line?
You know what? This wide receiver class, it's not the strongest like it has been in years previous. But I mean, I think you can get some solid guys out of this wide receiver class. I think you're going to get a bunch of number 2s out of this wide receiver class.
I think JSN could be like a legit number 1.
Huh?
I think Jackson Smith and Jigba could be a legit number 1.
He's the only legit number 1 in my opinion. Quentin Johnson could turn into a legit number 1 if he doesn't have T-Rex arms at the NFL level.
Moving on from the wide receivers, let's talk about the offensive line. I kind of mixed all of them together, but there's the list right there. We got 5 tackles in a row. Then we got 2 guards, and a tackle. How do you think these offensive linemen shake up to past offensive lineman classes, and which of these names do really jump out that will be under or overdrafted?
Uh, wait. Repeat that. Repeat that question again.
Which of these guys really like? How does this offensive lineman draft class stack up to past offensive lineman draft classes?
Um,
I don't think there's a Penny Sewell in this draft class. Yes or no?
No, no, there's not a Ben Sewell. There's not a generational guy here. There's a bunch of solid guys. There might be one All Pro. Peter Skoronsky might be All Pro. This lineman class is very versatile. You got some tackles there that could play guard. You got some guards that probably could play tackle. And you got some Bill Belichick type of guys on the offensive line. In this group, right? So, but do I see? To answer your question, no, they don't have a Penei Sewell. There's no generational tackle. There's no, Orlando Brown type of guy. There's none of that. There's, or Pace, Pace from the Rams. There's no guy like that in here. But there's a bunch of guys that could possibly. There's a few guys that can make a Pro Bowl, and there's some guys I think like Peter Skoronsky I think could be an All Pro guy. Harold Johnson, I think could be an All-Pro guy too.
I think Broderick Jones also has potential to be an All-Pro guy. I think he's one of those guys that's going to be underdrafted and have production higher than some of these other guys on the list. I like his skill set a lot.
This is a class. They're really good at pass blocking, but I don't see the nastiness in the run scheme. Is what I'm like in my opinion.
That's the nature of the game now. I think to look for the guy that you're talking about, is he that nasty, that grindy, that hey, you gonna know you played me offensive lineman. You gotta look at the run heavy teams. You gotta go to a Wisconsin. I see the center Michigan. There. You gotta go to a Michigan. You gotta go to a Illinois. You gotta go to a Bama. Like that's where these guys, the guys that run through the trenches. Those are the programs you're gonna have to go to, right? Like we saw 2 years in a row why Ohio State lost to Michigan, because Michigan's O-line just straight up bullied them, and those Michigan running backs were able to run through alleys.
There's a guy I don't see on this list, David, and we're speaking of Michigan. He swept the O-line awards last year. Olu Oluwatimi, I don't see him on this list, in the top 10 list. I think that's a sleeper pick later on in the draft.
We're gonna get to players that are not on my list, where you could go ahead and talk about some guys that are not on this list. For now, let's just kind of stick to the guys on the list. I also think that Joel Tippmann, that kid from Wisconsin that we just talked about, is a guy that's going to be super undervalued in this draft because he plays at the center position. Somebody's going to get him, and he's going to be a 10-year starter.
Yeah, that's the Bears.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing that out there.
And Osiris Torrance is big enough to play tackle. If you saw Christian Simpson's latest mock draft at Daily Blitz blog, he actually had him drafted as a tackle. I don't remember where he went in that mock draft, but Osiris Thomas is the best guard in this draft, but he could play tackle.
Never mind. Let's stay focused. Let me stay focused on the draft. Let me stay focused on the show. Let me stay focused on the show, because I'm getting a little giddy right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little giddy watching this Bulls game.
Yeah. Hey, but real talk, until that Aaron Rodgers trade goes down, and everything stands back, if I'm Green Bay, I seriously consider getting one of these guys at, what is it, 15? They're at 15, right?
15, yep.
Because David Bakhtiari is starting to be on the sideline more than he is on the field. And David Bakhtiari, he's been nothing but spectacular for the Green Bay Packers.
He's probably a borderline Hall of Famer.
He's definitely there. He's definitely going into their Ring of Honor. Yeah, he's definitely going into that. He's been the glue to that offensive line for so many years, but now his body's starting to betray him, and now it's time. Hey, you got to consider looking at getting that replacement. You probably should have done it a few years back, so you can start preparing for it. But now, I think now more than ever, if you, I'm not talking about any draft trades, but I'm just saying like currently, as compacted, you gotta stay, yeah, get one of these guys if it's possible.
I'm looking at this list. Who do you think has the potential to be maybe overdrafted, or is a guy who maybe not may not pan out? I hate to say where's the word bust on guys that haven't been drafted yet, but who
Yeah.
has the biggest red flags on guys that in this list here?
Oh,
Anton Harrison from Oklahoma.
yes.
I think he could be a bust in this draft. He's going to get picked pretty
Yeah,
fairly
he said
high,
it.
probably in the
He
top
said it.
15, top
You
20,
don't.
just on need.
He said you don't want to say it, but Izzy ain't sugarcoat nothing. Izzy gonna say it.
I mean,
Yeah, no, Anton Harrison.
he only allowed 9 pressures and 447 snaps
But
as a pass blocker since starting as a true freshman.
look at the style they play though, bro. Like it's
Yeah, true.
like man, like there's a reason why we see very few Oklahoma quarterbacks, very few Oklahoma like Big 12 defenders. Period. Be good at the next level because it's such a their games are track meets.
Bro, they don't,
And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't have the pass rushers like you think they do, like they have in the SEC or the Big Ten. They're kind of, the Big 12 is real lukewarm when it comes to defense. They don't play much defense in the Big 12.
Before we move on to the running backs, who do you think will be the best player on this list?
it's gotta be between Skronsky, Johnson, and Broderick Jones. And I'm gonna be respectful to Osiris. I'm gonna be respectful to Osiris Torrance.
I'm going to go with Cyrus Torrance. I think when it's all said and done, he will be the best offensive lineman in this draft.
Man, something about those Northwestern linemen. I'm going Peter Skoronsky.
Yeah, I think because he has the versatility, like so he's different than Rashawn Slater. Rashawn Slater is a left tackle and a left tackle only. That is it. That is all he gonna be. Rashawn, yeah. That's all he is. Peter Skoronsky, he can be your right tackle and he can play either guard spot. I think he can play any spot on the offensive line that's not a center. As long as he stay healthy.
Moving on to the running back position, I just put the top 5 running backs.
That's disrespectful. That is so disrespectful.
I only did 5 tight ends too.
Why?
Is that disrespectful as well?
Yes. Well, maybe not, but this is disrespectful.
I can cook up some.
Damn, top 5. What the hell, David?
What is this list?
These are the top 5 running backs.
Where's my guy Chase Brown at?
Right. Where's Chase Brown?
He according to Pro Football Focus is where I got this list. Chase Brown is not even in the top 10 from Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, that's stupid. Chase Brown.
That's because his speed. He's gonna be a second day guy, but he gonna shock somebody. He gonna shock some guys.
When we get to the very next slide, you can talk about. But yeah, I honestly left off Tank Bigsby, the kid from Auburn, who I think is probably going to be a day 2 guy. Probably
his speed.
But looking at the guys on the list,
Izzy, what did you talk? He ran 4.43.
Overvalued.
Go ahead.
I'm
overvalued?
For the. I will go ahead and throw 5 more guys on the list right quick. So just continue talking. I will add them. All right.
No, you don't have to, David. It's okay. It's okay. You ain't got to. You ain't got to.
You didn't already stepped in it. Okay,
overvalued.
I'm dealing with a cold. All right. I had to build these graphics.
Okay. No. It's okay. Overvalued. Okay. I know I'm gonna sound crazy when I say this, and I love this kid. I love his game. But I'm still waiting on this Heisman moment. I didn't get it yet. I don't think I'm gonna get it yet. I'm never gonna get it. Bijan Robinson.
You're not getting a Heisman moment. So just
Bijan Robinson. I mean, I'm still waiting for the Heisman moment last year. I didn't get it. He's a guy. He's got all the talent, but he might be. I mean, I could see a team reaching for that guy, and I hate that team would reach for him. I would like. I honestly like Bijan Robinson because he's got that top end speed. Once he gets in the open field, it's good luck trying to catch him. It's like Reggie Bush-esque. But a guy like Devin Achaney, who can kill you on the punt returns and the kick returns.
He's so little. He is so
I know he's little, but he's so fast. He's like he's fast and he runs with low center gravity, so he can bounce off tackles.
He broke 53 tackles last season.
he's so like low center of gravity, and he could kill you in the kick return. Can you imagine if the Dallas Cowboys drafted him over Bijan, which they wouldn't, but I'm saying if they did, they'd have. You think they would? That'd be a jerry pick. They'd have him, and they'd have Turpin in the kick return. Good luck trying to cover both of them fast speed demons. Okay, on the kick return. Okay, Zach Charbonnet. Honestly, man, I think Chase Brown is better than Shaq Charbonnet.
I wholeheartedly believe Chase Brown is better than Zach Charbonnet.
Like what? I was like, what? Anyways.
Yeah, I believe the running back from Minnesota better than Zach Charbonnet. His name escaping me right now, but yeah, I think he better than Zach Charbonnet. But I think one more time, Dave. What was the question?
Just undervalued guy based on the 5 guys that are on the list.
All right.
And if you want to talk about a guy who's not on the list, is somebody who's.
I go undervalued Devin Cheney. I say overvalued. I'm not gonna put Bijan Rock because he won the dope walker for a reason. I'm gonna go overvalued. Overvalued is Zach Charbonnet. Why the hell is he top 3 on this list? And then I'm gonna say
I think it's because he has 3 down potential as
he does. He's a big back.
He's a big running back who has a very high FBS grade.
Jameer Gibbs though. Jameer Gibbs is a safe ass pick. I'm sorry.
I think he's overvalued because.
You think he's overvalued because of the line, offensive line? Yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't understand how they fall into this trap every year with the Bamas, the Georgias, and the superpowers of college football. I'm like, yo, do y'all understand that the player that you draft, the skill position player that you draft from Alabama or Georgia or whatever, they're not bringing their offensive line with them. Jameer Gibbs is not going to be running behind All-American. I mean,
but he is going to be running behind NFL player.
That is true.
That's true, but how, like those holes that he run through, them, they ain't gonna be as open, and they gonna feel, and they close real fast. Like that's
he kind of slider frame too.
When it's all said and done, who will be the best running back in this class?
Chase Brown. No, I'm being biased. It depends on where they go.
He said Chase Brown being biased. Bro, Chase Brown is going to end up like an Arian Foster. Mark my words right now. He's going to end up like Arian Foster. You know, Arian Foster was like a 6th-round pick? Something like that? What was Arian Foster? What was Arian Foster picked out of Tennessee? Late round? Undrafted?
I think he was undrafted. I think he was undrafted.
It depends on where they go.
Bro, that's what Chase Brown's going to be. That's what Chase Brown's going to be.
He ain't going to be undrafted.
He ain't gonna get undrafted.
That was a bad call. That was a bad call.
Aaron Foster was undrafted.
Challenge that. That was a bad
moving
call.
on from running backs, let's talk about the top 5 tight ends. A really deep tight end class, actually. There's the list on there. Really good pass catchers.
I'm being honest. No one cares. I might be borderline disrespectful. No one is as in on this tight end class this year because they all waiting on Rock Bowers. They're all waiting on him.
Don't disrespect my guy. Don't disrespect my guy from Notre Dame. Don't disrespect my guy from Notre Dame.
Top 3 guys in this draft class could go in the first round.
Okay, don't disrespect my guy Michael Mayer because the only reason Brock Byers won the Mackey Award over Michael Mayer is because his team went undefeated and they won a national championship. Yes, in my opinion, because if you look at the numbers, Michael Mayer had better numbers last year than Brock Byers. Better stats. They were close, but they were better. They were close. They were better.
You said they were close.
They were close, but they were better. But they were close. They were close, but they were better. They were close, but they were better. I agree. I think Brock Byers is going to be a hell of a freaking talent. But
I'm telling you right now, dude would be tight end 1 right now if he was eligible.
100%.
Come on, bro.
Caleb Williams
It's no disrespect to Michael Myers. It's no disrespect to his teammate Darnell Washington or Dalton Kincaid, who I think is the sneaky guy in this tight end class. Is definitely Dalton Kincaid because he falls into that mountain time, that West Coast bias. Not a lot of people stand up to watch Utah football for whatever reason, but they watch him.
He had 70 catches last season for 890 yards at a tight end.
And they straight up dismantled USC. It wasn't even close.
And Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270-pound tight end. And these
hell of a blocker.
A big good blocker.
Bro, did you see that video of all I think it's the combine, right? All the tight ends are hitting the sled and they hitting the sled, they doing the little choppy foot thing and they hitting the sled, showing they blocking. He is pushing that sled. He is lifting that sled up and he is literally walking down the field with that those Dave, I don't know if you know this, those sleds are heavy.
I'm aware.
Those sleds are very heavy. Those are not just easy things to just move the way that he moves them. So yeah, Darnell Washington is that dude's a freak. I think Michael Mayer is and he's the new model of tight end. Like he's like the George Kittle, the Travis Kelce, like the receiver that got turned into a tight end. Like that's Michael Mayer. Like that's what he is.
Michael Myers.
Is it Mayer?
And he's gonna be on that trajectory like Mark Andrews, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is it Mayer?
I don't know, but if I go to a Green Bay game, I'm about to get a Michael Mayer mask, a Halloween mask. I'm gonna buy his jersey. I'm gonna wear it to the game. I don't care. I'm gonna hold a plastic knife up. Yeah, let's go.
I don't think that's allowed in the stadium.
I don't think you can wear.
No. Oh, really? On Halloween?
No, the knife.
The plastic knife.
No, you can't bring stuff like that. No, you can't. Who will be the best tight end in this draft class when it's all said and done?
It's probably Michael Mayer.
Let's go. Hey, don't sleep on Luke Musgrave, though. Luke Musgrave, Oregon State is a run-heavy style offense, and they went through like 3 quarterbacks last year, and he still put up okay numbers at the tight end position. I could see a guy like him with a good quarterback next year, with the adequate quarterback next year, and he'll be in the late round, so he'll get a good quarterback next year. I could see him having some solid numbers at the pro level. He's got all the intangibles too.
He's currently the 49th rated prospect. Luke Musgrave.
What's that? That's second round, right?
This is the third.
It's like second round. Is that third round?
Oh no, it's second. Oh, my math is way off. Well, to the final side, let's talk about the rest. Under the radar, sleeper picks, players that I did not mention when we talk about offensive players in this offensive draft preview. Just some names that people should be aware of on the opposite side of the football. Go ahead.
Well, I think we kind of talked about it a little bit. Yeah, Chase Brown should have been mentioned. I think Oluwalewatumi should have been mentioned from Michigan. Yeah,
the running back from Minnesota. He definitely keep an eye out on him. I am really upset. I'm forgetting that kid's name. I am mad at myself for that.
He's not in the top 10 right now either.
But he's dope. He is dope. Like he's actually really damn good. And I can't think of his name right now, and I'm upset.
I'll pull it up right now. I'll pull it up for you.
I'm working on it.
It's Mo.
Okay, so I saw on the list too. You didn't have a guy like Kendre Miller from TCU. I think he could be a sleeper. A guy like Tajay Spears from Tulane could be a sleeper. Sean Tucker definitely could be a sleeper from Syracuse. I love his game. I mean, he had back-to-back over 1,200, 1,300 yard seasons for Syracuse. So he's a guy. I mean, he's a guy that can catch the ball at the backfield too. A guy like Deuce Vaughn, just looking at running backs. Muhammad Ibrahim. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ibrahim. Yeah, he's nice. He nice too. I like him. Man, I love Deuce Vaughn. That little sucker reminds me of Darren Sproles from Kansas State.
Kansas State. Yeah,
from Kansas State. That little sucker. He's got some wheels on him. Other than that, I mean, out of the running back class, yeah, everybody else is just undrafted, or they're just day two guys or whatever the case is. Um,
Ibrahim is projected to be a 7th-round pick
Yeah,
or
that's
6th-round pick.
false. That's false. That's gotta be false.
The best
Another
best
sleeper.
guy has a 72, the highest rating for him.
Oh, I was gonna say I forgot this is literally just offensive guys. So I was gonna say some defensive guys. I'm like,
Yeah, we're gonna do the defensive guys next week. But yeah, that's been our kind of our under the radar sleeper guys. But yeah, that's been our NFL draft top offensive prospects. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And hopefully the Bulls can pull this off. They are up
oh
by
my
3.
God, I'm going
About
crazy right now.
30
I'm trying to
seconds
hold my
left in the game.
composure.
We're
I'm holding my
gonna-
composure in, guys.
We're gonna jump back into a crossover episode tomorrow. Where we preview the 7-8 game, or the whatever the math is, 8-9 game. Who's gonna be making the playoffs, and then we're gonna be doing our full playoff preview on or first round preview on Saturday. You want to miss that content, gentlemen? I'm joined here. I'm David Huffman, Israel Rivera, TJ Hopkins, and gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
we
Bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Bring
sir.
the heat. 24/7, baby.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's go,
Bulls.
Bulls.
Some of the questions over there. We will be back here tomorrow. Y'all have a good night and stay safe.